This young man walks into his prosecutor interview. The examiner gives him one challenge: make the most memorable impression possible in the shortest time. Jack doesn't hesitate for a second. He gets the job, the pride of his entire school. But just 6 months earlier, he was the worst student in school, a straight-up troublemaker. One day he came home to a scene that stopped him cold. His father was on his knees, getting screamed at and hit by a young man. That man standing over his father was a prosecutor. This one guy, barely older than Jack, had the power to decide whether his father would spend the rest of his life behind bars. His father, a man who had never backed down from anyone, was down on his knees begging for mercy. Watching that, something clicked for Jack. He'd grown up following his father's lead, fighting his way to the top of the school food chain. But the moment you step outside those school gates, the guys who always had their noses in books, the ones nobody took seriously, they're the ones who end up with real power. They never looked like much, but everyone had to bow their heads in front of them. Jack made up his mind right then and there. He was going to become a prosecutor. The only problem? Studying was the last thing on earth he wanted to do. He was out cold at his desk in under 2 minutes. His teacher looked at him and sighed. Don't wake him up. If everyone becomes a lawyer, a prosecutor, or a doctor, who's left to do all the dirty work in this country? Struggling to figure out how to actually study, Jack sat alone by his skating rink one day, staring into space. He noticed someone nearby flipping through a comic book. Something sparked in his head. He pulled out his textbook and started reading right there in the middle of all that noise. The stuff he could never focus on before? It was going straight into his brain. He'd found his method. The louder the environment, the better he absorbed the material. From that point on, whether he was in the middle of a fight or sitting down to eat, he kept a book open wherever the noise was loudest. In less than 2 weeks, his grades jumped dramatically. He went from dead last in his class all the way into the top 10. His teacher praised him in front of the whole class, then quietly slipped off his watch.
노력했어. 이 새끼야, 컨닝을 해도 정도껏 해야 돼, 이 새끼야. 이 양심머리 없는 새끼야.
Jack tried to explain himself. No one was listening. He took a beating from his teacher anyway. Luckily, when the teacher had him take a separate test on his own, he scored just as well. The teacher rushed to apologize, took him out for a full meal of braised pork ribs to make it right. By finals, Jack ranked first in the entire class. The guys who had always dominated the rankings couldn't believe what hit them. Some of them started doubting themselves. Jack got into Seoul National University, one step closer to the dream. He rented a tiny room and buried himself in his books every single day. He signed up for the bar exam, mostly just to get some experience. He passed on his first try. The final interview was never going to be a problem for someone like him. Jack became the pride of his hometown. Banners with his name were everywhere, even plastered across the sides of city buses. He had completely transformed his place in the world.